But in this time, if you come to the city of Yangzhou, you can enjoy this big exhibition for the Grand Canal cultural relics. Here we are at the Yangzhou Museum. This year, from May the 3rd to May the 6th, we will celebrate the first session of the Grand Canal cultural relics exhibition. And Yangzhou will become one of the initiating cities for making the Grand Canal connecting Beijing and Hangzhou a World Heritage. In total, there will be more than 300 relics coming from 19 cities of 6 provinces. Yesterday we have just closed the curation, so today we will give you a first glance into the 300 relics, so we can have a tour together to feel the beautiful scenery and also the customs of the canal. And because I'm not an expert, I will be guided by a real expert, and he will give us some explanations. And this lady, Zhu Yuan, will be our guide today. So we can start here. By the 2nd of May, when the exhibition starts, this will also be the starting point for the touring. There are 2 lines actually. Why we can see 2 lines? Because we usually understand the big canal, the Grand Canal, is connecting the 2 cities in one line. As you can see here, the distance is very long. This is the northern part. Over there is the southern part. We put the 2 sections together. In my impression, the Grand Canal runs in the linear direction. However, here you have a delta, something like the delta form. Here is Luoyang City. In the Sui Dynasty, we started the construction from this city towards the north to Beijing and towards the south to Hangzhou. In total, the length is 2,500 kilometers longer than the length of today, which is 1,700 kilometers. In the Yuan Dynasty, the then capital is Beijing, and we have changed the course of the river, and this section has been abandoned. Instead, we took this part. So after the Yuan Dynasty, the line has become straighter. The total length of the Grand Canal of Beijing and Hangzhou is now 1,700 kilometers. So the Grand Canal we are using and watching today, they come at the basis of the construction of the Yuan Dynasty. So before the Yuan Dynasty, it's still in a triangle form. Why you put the ship here, the model of the ship here? You have a very famous Chinese old painting about the Yellow River and the Yangtze River. In ancient China, in the river of Bian, the navigation is very popular and well developed, and you can see that this is a boat for the navigation of personnel, and you can see the windows for the respiration, and this is the model. You can open the windows. In old days, a lot of ships in this kind, they are running back and forth in the Grand Canal. Today we are taking the high-speed railway, the Fuxing, and in ancient days, they are taking the boats and ships. And now we are inside the Cultural Relics exhibition. Everything's in this place. The first glance is on this scroll painting collected by the Zhejiang Museum. From this painting, you can see all the cities and mountains and also the beautiful scenic spots across across the Beijing-Hangzhou Grand Canal. It is not only a simple form of painting, but also like a map. It can give you the references about the geography. The total length of the scroll painting is about 20 meters, and due to the limit of the display desk, we can only roll it out to this extent. And this part is Hangzhou. And here we can find a tower. And there's even a very thin coating of gold. And it's written there, the pagoda of Baoshu. This is a painting from the Qing Dynasty. It's estimated that the painting was made in the mid-term of the Qing Dynasty. And here is Shanghai. This is the Shanghai in the Qing Dynasty. Compared to the big city, the modern international city of Shanghai today, you can tell what it was like in the ancient days. Actually, because we have used a different scale, so here even a small part in the painting means a very large surface in the real sense. And here is the Suzhou city. In Qing Dynasty, according to this painting, the Suzhou is a very crowded and well-developed city. Here is Wuxi city and Changzhou city. So now when we move from the right hand to the left hand on the painting, we are actually moving from the south towards the north. And here is Guazhou to this part of the painting. Here is Guazhou, and across the Yangtze River, we come to another city, which is Zhenjiang. Zhenjiang is also a riverside city, and you can imagine the fog covering the Yangtze River. And this is the Nanjing city. And here is the old Yangzhou city. So as you can see from the scroll painting, the Yangtze River is running through the painting, and here is Yangzhou. It's also where we are now. The painting is really long. Until here, you can still roll out. And you can find the hidden part inside to see Tianjin City and Beijing. So what is the function of this painting? First is to have the recording of the scenic spots, and second is to give you the navigation references. In the whole exhibition, there are different units, and here we are in the first unit. It's entitled The King of the Wu Kingdom, Fu Chai is constructing. The Hangou. And the Hangou is a ditch utilized as a way for the military defense, and the Fu Chai, the emperor of the Wu Kingdom, has digged up this ditch. And this Hangou ditch is the first part of the Beijing-Hangzhou Canal. It has a distance of 400 kilometers. In the beginning, it is for the purpose of the recovery of the land and also the extension of its kingdom that Fu Chai, the emperor, has decided to dig up this ditch. And here you can see the different objects, the relics. It's also in the same period of the Fuchai. Actually, these are coming from the period of Spring and Festival. This is for the cleansing. It's made of bronze. It's collected by the Xuyu Museum from Huai'an. In ceremonies, the officials first have to clean their hands inside this utensil, and then we can start the ceremony. And here we have a galley pot. And inside the fossils of the eggs. And recently, it is said that we have discovered the fossils of the eggs, of chicken eggs, 2,500 years ago. This is a collection of the Nanjing Museum. It's the biggest gold object we have discovered, with a weight of 9,100 grams, and the purity ratio of the gold is 99%. It's discovered in 1982 in Xuyu. And together with this object, there's another pot body, and this object we can see is actually the cover of the pot. And these are like the pot of the safe boxes. And this is the oil lamp made of bronze. And here you can see that the oil lamp was very popular in old days. And the form of the horns of the bowls, they can be used as the handle of the oil lamp. And you can look at the belly of the bowl. You can put the water inside. If you burn the oil upside, then the smoke can be channeled and guided towards the downside to the belly of the bowl, and then be mixed with the water inside. This is a way to reduce the air pollution inside the room. And we can find other similar objects like this, because in ancient times, people cannot stand those smoke coming out from the oil lamp. And since we have the Grand Canal, and water navigation and transportation is well developed, goods are circulating, and people's livelihood was quite good. And all those are lacquer objects. For example, those boxes, they are used to carry the cosmetic products for the ladies. You can have different forms of boxes. Some are coated with gold, some are painted in colors. And these ones are coated with gold, also with the patterns, for example, with the birds and the animals. We can tell that their old masters appreciate a lot these beautiful things. And those are the utensils from the ancient times too. In the period of the Wu Kingdom, they have constructed one part of the canal, and by the canal they can transport the porcelain products from other places to their kingdom. For example, this is the blue porcelain. and the form of it is in line with the bronze utensils in earlier days, and it's also an object used in the ceremonies. During the sacrifice ceremony, people will put food inside. When you look at the blue porcelain, on its surface you can see the smaller birds patterns, and also it has ears. How old is it? More than 2,500 years. And this object appeared in the same period of the construction by Emperor Fu Chai for the ditch. Just now we have talked about the Hangou, that famous ditch, and also all those objects people have constructed in the first moment this canal and also the ditches because they want to circulate the goods and also transport the arms. In old days, the wars are very frequent. People have this kind of need. And here is the unit number 2. We say that the Sui Wen Emperor, the Wen Emperor of the Sui Dynasty, he has done a lot of good deeds for the people. Although he finally has lost his dynasty, has lost his kingdom due to his bad decisions, but still he has made a lot of contribution. He has worked a long time, about 1 decade in Yangzhou. After taking a position as emperor, he has come back to the Yangzhou city because he considered Yangzhou city as his second hometown. He has visited in total 3 times the region. The year 605 BC, 615 BC, and 613 BC. Talking about the Grand Canal, we will think of the Wen Emperor of Sui Dynasty. And all these objects are discovered in his tomb, right? For example, this one. This is the inkstone. Usually when we take an inkstone, there are no feet, but here you can see it's steadily supported and also with the water sink. Actually, this inkstone is in the form of a big building. That building is in the circular form. We have a bigger building like this, and in that building is the emperor giving knowledge and information to the other officials and the people. And this is a jade belt. In ancient days, for the men, especially the male officials, they will put a belt around their waist, but this one is in jade. Usually people used the leather ones. There are 13 rings together. And the jade is attached to a piece of gold. This one is the gold piece, and we have discovered another belt with the jade attached to the main belt with the silver. If this is a belt, then this part is exactly like what we have with a belt today. And this name in Chinese, 叠蟹, what does it mean? It is a word to describe the look of a person when walking very fast. And with the ring in jade, you can attach other things, for example, like the knife. This is a stamp, also discovered in an imperial tomb. In ancient days, when emperor is visiting outside the court, the emperor himself will use this tool to pay tribute to the sky and pay tribute to the god. After paying tribute to the nature, you have to throw this tool inside the river or to the mountain. And the balls, they're very strong and they're in different positions. Some are turning their head. And the white parts are actually the repaired parts. We call them archaeological repairs. Because in the discovery period, we only have the separate pieces. All those are broken pieces. We have to use the white parts to bring them together so you can see the image and also the whole form of the ball. If you're familiar with the traditional Chinese painting, you can even find a painting describing exactly this thing, and you can try to have a match between the two. So this jade belt is one of the highlights of your exhibition. This is the highest level, the level 1 relics. So later it can be permanently presented to the public in another place. So when the exhibition opens on the 3rd of May, you can try to follow our path and start with these units of exhibition. You can listen to the guide and to know more about the history of the Wen Emperor of the Sui Dynasty. So this part, more like the essentials of daily life, we have displayed a lot of Tang Dynasty daily life essentials. People have gathered the porcelain products from different places in the capital city, and the circulation and transportation of goods is well developed too. For example, the spices and traditional Chinese medicines. And these are collections from the Zhejiang Museum, the white porcelain. The form is very beautiful, and the thickness of the porcelain is very small. These are also the commercialized goods. They must come from northern part of China, from the kiln of Ching. During the Tang Dynasty, the Chinese people have already started to sell the porcelain goods towards foreign countries, like to the Middle East. For example, here there is the pot of gasoline made in Changsha. There is a famous and very big kiln in Changsha. In Western Asian countries, they want this kind of products. From the style of design and from the patterns, from the color, you can see that they could be very well accepted by the Western Asian countries. And this is the local archaeological discovery from Yangzhou. This one stands out with a different style. This comes from the Changsha kiln. It's produced in Changsha but discovered in Yangzhou. From this point, you can see that in ancient times there must be the transportation and commercialization of this. In ancient China, Yangzhou is the estuary of the Yangtze River towards the ocean. That's why the goods and also materials are gathered here in Yangzhou before being exported to foreign countries. And now you can understand why the porcelain products from the Changsha kiln can be found here in Yangzhou. And Yangzhou is also one important connection spot for the maritime Silk Road. And we have adapted the production and also the construction based on the request of the foreign customers, like from the Western Asian countries. This is the tree-colored porcelain, also exported. And this is a rubbing of Chinese calligraphy. It is written that towards the north, towards the south, towards the east, and towards the west, there are more than 900 kilometers. This is actually a guidepost, the nameplate of one place. It's like when standing on the spot, you can see what is the distance towards the other place. You can see the lines, so you can understand that this rubbing paper has been made from one 3D monument, and there is a big piece of stone standing by the riverside to show the direction and also the distance to the ship owner. These are smaller objects, and especially this one is very small. It looks very small, and it's easy to miss it. In that moment, people have very elegant habits. And this is a perfume cake made by the imperial court, and that is the only one. At first glance, I think it's a piece of bean curd, but actually it's something like the solid perfume. It's very light and it's in good quality. We also have this object in the modern times. We can hang up some solid perfume in our wardrobe, and that perfume cake is the same function. And now we come to the unit number 3, the changing of the course to make the Grand Canal of Beijing and Hangzhou straighter. During the Yuan Dynasty, as I have told you before, we have changed a little bit the course of the Grand Canal. And after the Yuan Dynasty, the shape has been settled and fixed. What about this scroll? The scroll painting is telling the story of the second visit of Emperor Kangxi to southern China. There's an important painter called Wang Hui. Upon the request of the emperor himself, Wang Hui and other painters collaborated together to draw this painting. For the visit towards southern China, Emperor Kangxi has also taken the Grand Canal. In total, there are 12 scrolls, in different materials like the paintings on silk, the paintings on paper, etc. And this one is not yet colored. And other versions are kept by the Palace Museum and also by some other museums. From this painting, you can see the prosperous livelihood of the people along the Grand Canal from Beijing and Hangzhou. The whole trip is registered in the scroll. In total, as I have said before, there are 12 scrolls, and this is the scroll number 7. From the total 12 scrolls, you can tell the whole scenic sports from Beijing to Hangzhou. How many level 1 relics you have? It's up to 42. So in each gallery, you can find at least one relic at level 1. For people living long away from the Grand Canal, you may think that the Grand Canal is just something you can read from the textbook. But if you come to visit the museum, you can feel that how close the relationship is between the development of the Grand Canal and also our daily life. We have just finished half of the exhibition, but today, due to the limit of the time, we cannot go through the whole exhibition. We really hope that by the beginning of May, you can come to the place and you can listen to the introduction of the exhibition by the tour guide here, and also you can know better about the ancient Silk Road. So that is about the end of our program today on the 2nd of May. Welcome to Yangzhou.